Hi, I'm Doug.
Hey, you know what? Every time it's you say I'm Doug, and then I say I'm Pete. So let's
maybe-
do it backwards.
Let's do it.
We're not backwards.
Let's mix it up, get crazy.
Okay, hi. I'm Pete.
And I'm Doug. And this is Talk Story. We're supposed to say that.
Unscripted.
We're supposed to say that together, in unison.
Okay, ready? Hi, I'm Pete.
And I'm Doug. And this is Talk Story.
Unscripted.
Ooh.
Okay, so hi Doug, how are you?
I am doing so great.
I just want you to know I'm a little nervous.
Why?
Because I don't know what we're talking about. You decided we're going to talk about creativity, and that's like saying, let's talk about the world.
Ooh. Well, it's how befitting to talk about creativity, and we have to come at it in a creative way.
Yes, and normally you would think about that, but we're not going to think about it at all. So this is
Rough
pure
draft.
creativity.
There you go.
Unscripted.
Out of the
okay.
box.
Yes.
So to kick off the creative thing, since that's what I was thinking about talking about, one of the things that I find unique about creativity is that you are creating or manufacturing something out of nothing. It's an idea or a concept in your head for whatever it is, for work or for art or for anything.
Yep.
And you bring it into reality. You
Right.
make something that's not, you create something out of nothing.
Yep. I mean, the biggest misnomer is, well, creativity means something artistic, but it's not. It could be in every aspect of life,
Exactly.
right? So it could be in dealing with computers. It could be in taking care of children. It could be
Exactly.
in a creative way to get from the North Shore to Honolulu, in the middle of traffic.
That's true.
And
Yeah,
you can be
figuring
creative
things
in that.
out.
Yeah, exactly. So creativity is not just about artsy stuff.
Right.
It could be anything.
And I've heard people say before, I don't have a creative bone in my body. And it's so not true. Like you
Yes.
said, everybody is a creator. We're made by the ultimate creator to be co-creators with him, which is such a bizarre concept.
Yeah.
From child producing, did I say the right word? Childbearing, child making,
Okay.
and raising your children. I mean, you think about what you're instilling in them. You're birthing not only the child, but their values and their viewpoint on the world. That's a creating process right there by itself.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point. I love the fact that God says, let us make man in our image. And I think the thing that separates us from any other created being is that, and that part of that is the ability to have choices, the ability to create.
Right.
And I think, I'm not sure about this, but it feels like choice and creativity kind of work together.
Yeah,
And
that's
in our
true.
lives, and
There's
yeah, it's
freedom
great.
in it,
Yes.
right? You have to have freedom to create, because otherwise then it's not.
Yeah.
You're not really.
Yeah, we're not robots.
Right.
God could have said, Doug, with a gun at my head, do you love me?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not like that.
Exactly.
He leaves it to us and says, hey, do you love me? I mean, that's how love is, right?
Absolutely.
And that's pretty creative of God, isn't it?
Right.
So it's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
creativity and choice all work together. So in regards to doing what we do here,
Right.
how does that work?
Well, you know what? I'll tie this in with it, because this is. I was watching a show the other day. And it's called, I can't remember what it's called. It's on Netflix, and it's talking about these unique creatures in the world that do these bizarre things. I can't even remember what it's called, but you see all these animals and aquatic life and everything in creation. There's these amazing, unique, captivating things of creation, animals, plants, the universe. It is full of creativity, just full of God's fingerprints all over the place in the most bizarre, wild ways. You look at some creatures and you go, what was God thinking? I love that he did it.
That's really weird, because it's exactly what I think about when I look at you. What was God thinking?
Didn't miss a beat. I love it. It's so good. But it's true. And, and working here at Kalo and being here in Hawaii, and seeing the beautiful things here, just seeing the beautiful sunrises and sunsets. I was just FaceTiming my dad and showing him the sunrise, and he was almost teary-eyed, and so was I, kind of sharing that moment together. And it's just so beautiful to see it. And being here at Kalo, to capture the unique, creative things that God has done in people's lives.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about people's stories and how God brought them from the craziest of situations. I mean, that's a creative story in and of itself. You know, some of the things that you couldn't write this script if you wanted to, and what happened in someone's life and what God did to bring them out of this or to bring them into something.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
That's good. Yeah, I you know, what's cool about creativity is when you are trying to create something, you learn. And you know, when I think about my photography, one of the things I've learned is that to be creative in photography is you have to learn to observe. You have to stop and understand observation, look around. One of the greatest things I was told early on in my career is, before you take the photo, you already see it. It's like, what does that mean? Well, it means you're planning. You see something, you think, yes, I want to capture that. And then you go about doing it, which I think is really interesting. So when you're creative, sometimes you'll see it before you actually do it.
Right.
And it's a matter, but it all comes back down to observation, observing what you see and taking the time to do that. And if you look at the Bible, there's a lot of instances where when people see God and before they're about to go on this huge mission, you take Moses for instance, you know, it was at a time in their life where it could have looked pretty mundane and boring. I mean, Moses was tending sheep in the middle of the desert because he was a fugitive because he created a crime. He committed a crime. Right. And there he is in the desert, not for a few years. Do you realize it? 40 years. 40 years. And this is before he led the people out of Egypt for 40 more years. Right? So if you're feeling like Doug, you know, you're feeling like you're kind of old and
this is taking forever.
What else is there to do? You've got time.
There's hope.
Yeah, I'm pretty old. Anyway, so I find that really interesting that those times in Scripture are when God shows up, and if you're observant, like Moses was observant, he sees this burning bush and is like, what the heck? What's that? Right. And so he goes and approaches it, and sure enough, God speaks to him, and then, man, his life is forever changed at that point. For such a time as this, right? That's a scripture out of Esther. Yeah. That, you know, being observant is really important to the creative journey. Right. You know, understanding what's going on and looking. Even when you're, my son had to do some art for high school, and he's not into art at all, and he goes, I gotta draw something, and I go, well, pick something you really like. Oh, my Vans shoes. Oh no, they were actually Nike shoes, the ones that Forrest Gump wears.
Oh, fun.
Some old school.
Yeah, yeah.
And I go, well, just now you gotta sit down and you gotta look at it, and you gotta spend time. And as you start interpreting that on paper, you know, the more you look at it, the better job you're going to do.
That's
in a creative point of view. Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty fun and pretty difficult at times too.
Well, and that's what separates the difference between, you know, kind of novelty or amateur, not knowing what you're doing, and having done it for a long time like you have, is being able to.
What do you mean a long time?
Be able to make those observations.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thoroughly, like you do, like, because you can have something set up, and then the perspective or the angle, you know, the way that you bring the camera, the way that you set up the lighting, can totally change everything about the. You know what I mean? You can have this, and you look at it like this, and it's just boring hand. But then you come from this angle, and you put a light from this direction, and all of a sudden it's just this, whoa, I never seen something. I love what you said in your video. I don't know if we even put it in there. I might have had that. It's one of those things. Video? Yeah, the one the call in the street about you.
That was your video.
Okay.
I was in there. Okay, yeah.
I love what you said in there. And I don't know if it even made it in the video. And it said that as a photographer, you're wanting to show people something that they have never seen before, or
take them to a place and different perspectives.
Exactly. Maybe it's something they have seen before, like waves. Yeah. But from an angle that they've never seen before. Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's really true. Like, you know, one thing you want to do is when you're exploring being creative. And in the case of photography, you know, take the camera and put it in an unusual spot. Right. You know, and don't just stick it on a tripod at your level.
Yeah.
Even when you're, for those of you who are into selfies and whatnot, it's usually you do the typical thing. Well, what if I can put that camera somewhere else that would be unusual?
Right.
And you're going to show people something different, and that's kind of the whole idea.
Right.
Yeah, that's one aspect of creativity.
It's what makes it. It's what makes it unique.
Yeah.
Right. It's what makes it different. Separates it from the rest. Another thing too, and this is to people who do creative stuff or enjoy that kind of thing, is to also keep in mind that there's nothing new under the sun. Sometimes I'll go into something and be, gosh, I want to try to get this angle or do this thing, but these guys are way better than me. Well, all right, settle down a second. Find something fresh and new, and know that this is not the craziest, wildest thing that's ever been done before. It's a mystery that's waiting to be unveiled. Sometimes I love being on a creative journey with God. I always call God my adventure partner.
That's cool.
I always feel like he ever since day one, man, it's been an adventure, and we've been buddies in it almost. Obviously he's superior, but and when I'm editing, especially in the editing process, I'll think of him being there with me trying to figure stuff out. And when I'm so overwhelmed with it, he'd be like, okay, this is nothing new. This is nothing, this is nothing crazy. Just do the basics that you know how to do. And then in that, there's these little magic moments, right?
Yeah.
Do the basics, what you know to do. You know to do A, B, and C. And then once you get to C, I'll help you to find D.
Yeah.
Don't think, I don't know how to get to D. It's so far away.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's so overwhelming. It's so unbelievably hard to do. Well, you start at A, right where God's given you just one little piece. And then every step of the way, he helps you to see the next cool little angle or perspective or unique thing to do.
And isn't it fun in editing? Lots of times you'll be working on something, and then all of a sudden things click.
Right.
And you don't you don't expect that to happen. You think, wow, that lined up really well. How did that happen?
It's an accident.
That's
I didn't
crazy.
mean that.
Yeah. And of course we know there's no accidents. And that's what's so cool about it too. In regards to that, and it's the same with photography. I'll walk away from a shoot and I'll think, I didn't really get anything. That really sucked. Then I'll get home and I'll start looking at it, and I'll start manipulating and processing the images, and I'll run across a shot and go, what the heck? That's amazing. Where did that come from?
Right.
Did I take that? Well, yes, this is your camera. So I'll, like, wow, that was really good.
Right.
And it's just amazing, and it's just a matter of being there. And it's, again, observing and and I love how you said that. It's really you're partnering with God,
right?
And really all we're doing, in regards to what we do, is really capturing what's there already,
right?
And what God has done,
right?
And learning to observe and learning to capture that. So
absolutely,
I love it, and it's challenging, always challenging at times, but it's great to see what God does.
Oh, it's so true, and to see to see a spark fly, like this story with the missionaries coming to Hawaii, the first missionaries.
That's the documentary you're working on.
Yeah, that's the documentary I'm working on, and they landed March 30th, which is coming up soon, and to see the little sparks along the way of when you're hearing the story, you're writing it out, and then you go, oh wow, they did this. This is amazing. How can I can do something with this. I can work with this. We can make something interesting out of this aspect of it. And then to see your concept and your hope come into fruition. And a lot of times, and I'd say almost at least half the time, what I thought it was going to be is different.
Yeah.
But it's better. God shows me, well, what if you did it this way? And he makes it better than what I could have even have imagined it. Kind of like we say, when things fall into place, the timing of things, and you start following this beat, and then God's like, you're like, this is even cooler than I thought.
Yeah.
And I love when he does that kind of stuff.
It's great.
I'll say this. There's a story in the Bible that I find so creative, and there's tons of stories like this, and Allie's going to know what I'm talking about because she's heard me tell this story 1,000 times. And I love how God's creative in the Bible.
Is this thing with the spike in the person's head?
No, this is a different one.
Okay.
It's also a bloody story, but I love how God's creative with his stories. There's a story in the Bible where a king is running away. He's another bad king, and he's running away from a battle. He was told that he's going to be at this battle by a prophet. one of God's prophets. So he goes heavily armored, yeah? Heavy armor, as heavy as you could get. And he even had another guy say, hey, pretend that you're me, and I'm going to pretend to be somebody else. Well, they say in this battle, while this king is running away from the battle, somebody from the other side randomly, this Bible says this, randomly draws his bow and just shoots an arrow into the air. This random arrow flies and hits just perfectly right in between the gaps of his armor and hits him in a vital organ and kills the king.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's so cool, God. Like, he's creative, unique ways that he does things and in his storytelling. And, you know, this is real life. This really happened.
Yeah.
And I love that about God. I love that we get to be a part of telling those kind of stories from the Bible and the people here in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so thinking about where we are today and what we want to do, you know, we're hanging on. Like you said, you know, I had a friend, he always said, you know, I'm just in the back of the bus, just along for the ride.
That's
God,
cool.
whatever you want me to do.
That's
and
really good.
In a creative sense, it's the same way. We're just, you know,
Yeah.
we're just, okay, God, what do you want to do?
Right.
And so things present themselves, like you say. All of a sudden, God does stuff. And if it's his will, it's going to get done.
Right.
You know, just like that king with that arrow.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That's
like,
so
man,
true.
you know, so just look and see what God is doing. And I
That's
think
good.
ultimately that's what creativity is about. So
That's really
thanks,
good.
Doug.
Yeah. And guys, we'll see you next time.
God
Remember
bless
to if you want to get involved, let us know.
Yes.
Check us out online, and we'll see you next time. That rhymed a little bit.
That's very good. You're a poet.
Ah,
You didn't know it.
and I didn't know. Oh, he's on fire.